Hey everyone, it's Lisa. Thanks for joining me today. In today's card tutorial, I am going to be showing you how I made this card using the Peekaboo round dies from the Stamps of Life. So you can see the two round dies on this card that I die cut the circles out. And when you lift those circles, you'll be able to have a stamp or sentiment displaying underneath. So this die set has 6 circle dies that are included of various sizes. You can see here I just die cut this piece of just regular scrap cardstock and just die cut all of them out, and you can see that when you lift the flap, it actually keeps the top portion of that die in the cardstock, so it doesn't cut the entire circle out. And this set is very similar to the Peekaboo rectangle set that the Stamps of Life sells. And I previously did a card video using the rectangle set. So if you want the rectangles, they have various sizes in those, or you can do the circles. There's also this die that says Peak, so you can actually die cut that and get the letters that say Peak that you can put on top of your circle. I am going to start out my card by doing some coloring, and this card, as you saw in the beginning of this video, it is going to bring in the FarmAnimals2Stamp stamp set. This is a pretty old set from the Stamps of Life, so some of you may have it, and if you don't have it, they do have it up on their website, and it consists of these 3 farm animals. So you have your pig, your horse, as well as your rooster. And I'm just going to color them up. So I stamped this out onto my Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth cardstock, and that is the paper that I use when I'm coloring with alcohol markers, and I am using my Arteza alcohol markers to color these images up. And I also stamped them with my Spectrum Noir ink, and I will link all of these products down below. So if you're coloring with alcohol markers, you need to use a special paper and a special ink so that the ink doesn't smear while you're coloring. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what the colors are that I'm using. I know some of you did pick up these Arteza markers. I am using the Arteza 120 count. They have a couple of different marker sets with the alcohol marker. So they have 120 count, and then I think the other one is a 60 count. So I am using the 120 count, which gives me more colors. And for the horse, I'm using the cinnamon, the sienna brown, and the brandy rose. I'm also going to be bringing in, for the face, I'll be using hazelnut brown, coyote brown. I also have khaki, beach sand, jasmine yellow. That's for the face and the body. So I'm bringing in several colors, and if you have these colors and you wanted to use the same colors that I have, I will put all of these colors down below in the description so that you can take a look at that and you can, use your colors when you're coloring these images up. For the pig, I will be bringing in Aurora pink and cherry blossom pink, and then for the rooster, I'll be bringing in wine red, ruby red, and tomato red. I'll also be bringing in amber yellow and saffron yellow for the beak and the feet, as well as powder blue for the eyes. So when I color up the horse, I'm not going to color the whole thing because only the head portion is going to show up in the circle. So you can see here that I just kind of put it over one of the circles just to make sure I've colored enough of that horse. And then once I realize I have enough of that horse colored, I will go ahead and move on to the other animals. So I'm going to go ahead and just set this to music, and you can watch the coloring, and I'll be back and we'll continue with the rest of the card. So I die cut this piece of polka dot pattern paper using this dotted rectangle die that you see there on the table, and I'm using these 2 circles, so I'm just placing them where I want them on top of this die cut piece, adding some washi tape so they don't move when I run through the die cut machine, and then you can see the circles that it gives. So I have a piece of blueberry cardstock that I'm going to use for the background of this card. The blueberry cardstock is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So basically I'm just going to position these animals where I want them just to make sure that enough of the stamped image is showing through that circle, and I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive tape and tape them to that cardstock layer just so that they don't move and they're in the position that I want them to be in when I adhere this down. So here I'm taping the pig, and then I'm going to tape the horse. Now obviously that horse is a little bit too large, so I'm going to go ahead and tape it down so that his face is showing through the hole. And then what I'm going to do is just trim off the excess. So the back side of him, including the tail, that's just going to be trimmed off. So I'm going to grab my scissors and cut straight along the edge of that horse. So then I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the back side, including putting glue on those animals and then attaching it down to that blueberry layer. Now here you see me just taking some blueberry scraps and using some double-sided adhesive tape to put on those scraps, and I'm using that die that says Peak and die cutting that out. And what that does is it gives me the letters Peak, but it also has the double-sided adhesive on the back. So make sure when you are using that die that you do put double-sided adhesive on your cardstock before running it through your die cut machine, because look how small those letters are. I can't even figure out how you would even try and put glue on the back of those letters. So here I'm just attaching those to the fronts of the circles. So I did die cut that word twice. So now you can see that the word peak there, and that when the recipient receives the card they can just lift those flaps to see the animals. So here I'm going to do some stamping on the inside of those circles. So I have my stamp. It's Missing You Pig Time for the pig. And notice that I did put washi tape just to hold that circle open. It just makes it easier when I'm stamping. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the horse. So I'm just adding some washi tape to hold that circle down. And then I'm going to stamp out the sentiment, hugs, and kisses. So now when you open those circles, you not only see the animal underneath, but you also see the stamp, and I think that's so cute. And also notice that the back is also pattern paper, so that's an advantage of using pattern paper, is you can have a design on both sides. So now I have a piece of blueberry cardstock just cut in a thin strip. I used my powder tool and just add some powder to that cardstock, and then inked up my stamp with some Versamark ink and adding some white embossing powder over the top of that. So the stamp there says, "Hey Chickie." And I'm going to heat emboss to set that embossing powder. I think that that white embossing powder really looks nice on top of that dark cardstock. So here I'm just going to cut a fishtail banner. Sorry, that's off the screen. So just cutting a little fishtail there at the end, and I'm going to include this sentiment at the bottom of the card. So each one of those animals has its own sentiment that goes with it. I think that's super cute. So I'm going to have this little rooster there at the bottom of that card layer and have that sentiment just hanging out off the side of that rooster. So I'm just going to add some double-sided adhesive tape just to keep that banner exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to adhere it to my card front. So next I'm going to take that entire layer, add some glue to the back, and put that on an A2 size card base in white. And that completes my card. So when you open up these little circles, you can see the animals underneath, and I think that turned out super cute. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments, what you thought of this card. If you like this video, give me a like and be sure to subscribe for more card making tutorials. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.